Kia kuhui a kaimanoa tēnā koutou katoa. Nau mai ki ngā take o te wā o Marae ko Miriama Kamo aha e mihi atu nei ki a koutou. E kōkiri ana te kāwanatanga i te whakahounga o te pūnaha kōwhiri ngā pōti. The government's pushing through one of the biggest overhauls to our voting system in years, but the Attorney General says the changes could breach the Bill of Rights and warns that more than 100,000 people could be shut out of voting. Ko wai rā te hunga e tūraru ana. Who's most at risk and what does this mean for Māori voters?
Hey, look, today we're announcing changes to the electoral law.
It's not unreasonable to ask people to be enrolled 13 days before election day.
Frankly, I'm a bit sick of dropkicks that can't get themselves organised to follow the law.
And if you can't get out and enrol 13 days out, then there's something wrong with you.
Māori, young people, working people, people looking after kids, we want everyone to vote.
There's no public safety argument to be made. Actually, no positive argument of any kind was ever advanced in favour of this prisoner voting ban.
Every election that we've had in recent years has resulted in special votes electing more left-wing party MPs. This will knock those votes out. It favours the government.
I absolutely reject any idea that people will not be able to vote. They just need to be enrolled.
Well, kei te pai kōrero ana nei lawyer and constitutional expert Tania Waikato is here me te māngai o People Against Prisons Aotearoa, Courtney Tairi. Kia ora kōrua nau mai. Thank you both for being here this morning. So as we know, the Electoral Amendment Bill had its first reading this week in Parliament. Some of the key changes include closing enrolment 13 days before election day, creating a new offence that prohibits the provision of free food and drink within 100 metres of a voting place, and a total ban on prisoner voting. So the government, Tania, says these changes will improve the voting process. What's your key concern?
Well, my key concern is that there are potentially hundreds of thousands of people that will be prevented from voting at the next election because of these changes. And the Attorney General's report into this legislation confirms that that is a possibility, and that this type of legislation doesn't need to go that far in order to achieve what it is aiming to achieve. So there are some real concerns here around one of the most basic fundamental democratic rights, which is the right to vote, being taken away from a number of people. And what we also know is that Māori will be disproportionately affected by this, as well as people who are in vulnerable living situations. So for the government to come out and say that this is about efficiency, this is about essentially one extra week of counting votes compared to taking away one of the most fundamental democratic rights we have, I think it's voter suppression, just blatantly.
The government, of course, says we're not taking away anything. We're just making sure that people will enrol. And I mean, is that not a valid concern, Emmy?
I mean, it doesn't seem like it, right? The why, there's no case, no one is yet to be able to argue like why this needs to be done. There was no enormous problem being caused by having to count special votes last time. No horrible logistical problems caused by people signing out to vote on the day.
So the minister says, well, it was 3 weeks. We had to wait 3 weeks. It was 2 weeks, but in the election beforehand, then 3 weeks in the last election. We just don't want to have that anymore.
When we got invaded and our entire society was dismantled, one of the big pitches the British made to us was that they were bringing a superior model of governance, right, where everyone gets to have a say. And now they're saying that it's too hard. If we think that these values are important, if we really think that democracy is this important special thing, why are we throwing it out as soon as it gets slightly difficult to administer? There's been no case made for why this needs to be done, when there are very obvious partisan effects that are going to come about as a consequence of these rules. I think we should be thinking about like who benefits from doing this, not ordinary people. A handful of billionaires probably will, but normal people don't have any kind of benefit coming out of this.
So the minister is saying there is absolutely no conspiracy going on here. We just want people to enrol and we want to sort out problems that we've got. What's your response to that, Tania? There's no conspiracy.
Well, my immediate response to that is that it is clear that the special votes and the late votes always result in at least 1 to 2 extra seats for the left. And that's something that Professor Andrew Geddes has pointed out. So these changes immediately have an effect on the next election. So if this is a tight election, and this government is probably thinking it's going to be a tight election, they've just slanted it in their favour. Because if there's 1 to 2 seats, they're going to shift from the right to the left because of these extra votes, and they are now taking out these extra votes. This screams voter suppression. So for me, it's not just about the threat to our democracy in terms of individual people losing their right to vote. This is about whether or not the next election is going to be slanted.
Kia hau whakaaro I pāna ki te kupu drop kick. Emmy, what do you think of when a term like drop kick is used in relation to people who aren't enrolling?
There's been a really clear ideological undercurrent to a lot of these changes. We saw this especially in, for instance, the ban on incarcerated people voting, which was passed earlier. Incarcerated people make up a pretty small population that were unlikely to have shifted the election in any major way through being allowed to participate in the election. But the government took the vote away from incarcerated people because it sent a message to their base, right? It sent a clear message that you are one kind of person and incarcerated people are another. You are better than them, and because you feel better than them, you should vote for us. It's a way of signalling. A way of signalling to their base. And we're seeing exactly that with the kind of language being used to justify this bill. Oh, they're bad people, they're lesser, they're worse, you all are better than them. And by doing that, sure, it helps to kind of cobble together this shaky electoral coalition that the government's trying to put together between, on the one hand, the small petty bourgeoisie who are likely to support New Zealand First, and on the other hand, international finance, which is much more likely to support ACT. But it doesn't make life better for anybody. None of this legislation has been pitched to us with the idea that here's how this will make life better for you. Because it's not intended to make life better for anyone. It's intended to make the base of these parties think that life will be worse for the people who they want to see punished.
Let's listen to what the Prime Minister has to say about this. So earlier this week, he was asked about roll removals. So here's what he had to say.
If Māori voters are being deregistered at random without their knowledge, how can he be sure that his electoral reforms will not disenfranchise whanau who have followed all the correct procedures?
Because anyone, Māori or non-Māori, just needs to be registered on the roll 13 days before the election. There's plenty of time for that to happen.
Is that not a valid point, Tony? There's plenty of time.
Well, the information that we've been getting back from the thousands and thousands of people that have been contacting us is that this is a real thing. This is not just people, making it up or drop kicks that have failed to update their details. I'm talking about kuia in their 60s and 70s that have voted for 50 plus years, never moved, all of a sudden finding themselves removed from the Māori roll. And for me, anyway, it is the height of disrespect to our kaumātua and kuia who find themselves in this situation to say, you're just wrong. And they've got proof of being taken off the roll and not being able to get back on in time for the local body elections or in time for the Tamariki elections. So the fact that this is happening now and that it seems to be so widespread, we're going to find out when this court case moves further along. But it just highlights that taking away that fail-safe, that ability for people to enrol on the day and to update their details on the day is going to have a massive effect. And they don't even know now how many problems there are in the system. They can't guarantee now that this system is 100% functioning. So by the time we get to the next election, when that 13-day cut-off happens, we are going to see so many different problems and the issues around, okay, how many people is it going to affect? How many people are actually going to lose their right to vote? We are going to be an experiment. Next election, we're going to be the experiment, and it's going to be Māori, Pacifica, people that are at the lowest end of being able to do anything about it that are most affected, and they know that. That's the cynical part about this. They know that those who are most vulnerable are going to be most affected and most likely to be disenfranchised, which is why I'm saying this, because they don't have a voice, so we have to be their voice.
And good too that you mentioned that when you use the word like drop kick against anyone, you're including our kaumātua, and that's a lot of mamai in that. We have to wrap up very quickly, but I want to get your guys' thoughts on this FBI post that's been established in Aotearoa. Ia hau whakaaro.
After World War II, the US rebuilt the world in a way that benefited the interests of American multinational corporations through this army of technical advisors that they sent all throughout the ruins of post-war Europe. And we're seeing now the US exporting its justice model around the world in the same ways. Advisors from American intelligence and policing agencies being sent around the world to train governments and police officials in the methods of repression. The use of offshore detention camps is kind of a strategy that we're seeing the US use now through its contract with El Salvador to hold people in basically an immense concentration camp. The construction of another concentration camp in Florida being called Alligator Alcatraz, another example of the intense methods of state repression that America has been developing. Now, on the one hand, we're going to see these FBI advisors being used by the Crown to develop very similar techniques of repression going forward. New Zealand police will be taking advice from these FBI officials in how to surveil and monitor particularly left-wing activists. But on the other hand, what we're seeing is the FBI doesn't do any of the stuff that Kash Patel said this base would be used for. He said that this was going to help counter China's influence in the Pacific. The FBI are cops. It is not a crime for China, our #1 trade partner, to be an influential country here. But that is a thing which the CIA does. And so I think we should all be very concerned about the possibility that this is actually an American spy base, which will be used to incorporate us more tightly into a subordinate position within the American empire. Something which is in none of our interests.
We have to keep an eye on it, and we will. Thank you so much, tēnā kōrua, i au kōrua whakamarama i tēnei atanga, mihi nui ki au kōrua.
Tēnā koe.
E whai ake nei he kōrero e pāna ki te waiwai kai kāpua, ki te rai pākere me te waimariatanga. The story that proves the saying, if at first you don't succeed, try, and try again. Oki mai anō, he kōrero kei te haere mo te whainoa I o Wawata. This story is about a young man who wanted to be a cop. He tried and failed, and again, almost failed as a 46-year-old. E nei, e noho ana ka tipa matua Vinnie Kahui I tāna I tino pai ai. Vinnie Kahui finally nailed his dream, and as the police moved towards hitting 500 extra cops, we discovered joining later in life just might be the answer. Yvonne Tahana with this story.
Right, so we get radio taser. All right, let's go. Rena, you ready?
Senior Constable Vinnie Kahui treating the lockup like a drive-through.
Morning, can we have the Works, please? The Works Burger Combo, the taser, radio, car, M4, Glock. Oh, cool, awesome. The Works, thank you very much.
The Auckland City cop looks like he's been doing this forever, just a career cop getting ready for his shift. But it's far from the case.
You had wanted to be a cop for a very long time? You first tried in your 20s?
Yes, that's correct.
What happened?
At that time, I wanted to join the police for the glamour side of it all. You know, drive fast cars, look cool, be physically fit, go arrest the world. I applied back when I was 20, 21, went through the testing procedures, but at that time I got declined due to maturity level.
He grew up in Blockhouse Bay in the 1970s and 80s.
Unfortunately, seen the bad side of things. One of Mum's boyfriends had given her hiding a couple of times, ringing the police and the police not turning up. Yeah, I thought, well, that's what I want to do when I get older, is to be the cop that turns up. But also seeing those cops that did turn up, the ones that did do good, amazing work. Back then, they didn't have the tasers, all the other stuff like that.
The attitude can make a difference.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Ready, let's go.
Still, it was a dream that had to wait. You wouldn't know it now, but he spent the next 2 decades doing different jobs. Courier driver, territorials, got some flying hours under his belt. Then, as an unemployed dad, a push for Auckland's super city mayoralty in 2010.
So I thought, oh well, there's a job I can go for, so I threw my name in the hat. Had a $200 campaign. People said I want to get 100 votes. I got 1,177, and I managed to beat out the Communist Party candidate. So I was quite happy with that. My 1,177 votes. Thought, I'll give it a go.
It was fun?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. You know, when you're down on your luck, you've got to have fun.
He spent time working as court security and then as a probations officer. Still, this dream hadn't died.
Comms ILO 63. Yeah, morning comms. Can you show us 3F Avondale Flea Market, please?
As a 44-year-old, Vinnie tried again and it wasn't to be. On his third go, he finally nailed the entry requirements. He was off to police college. But there was a stunning moment where he was balanced on the edge of disaster. After 20 plus years and 3 goes, he almost didn't make it again.
And this is our last day at college. We get sworn in today. It's, you know, the emotional roller coaster that you've been on, the physically demanding adventure you've been on. I mean, you've been pushed mentally, physically, spiritually, socially. You wake up thinking, cool, this is the day.
As the hours and minutes ticked down to graduation, police told Vinnie Kahui that a close whanau member was involved in organised crime. And because of that risk, top brass were meeting to decide whether he'd even be allowed to join the force.
It was quite emotional. I had that meeting from 9 till lunchtime. I got sent down at lunchtime. They said, okay, we'll let you know by 4 o'clock this afternoon. Yeah, just all the emotions in the world. And when she looked at me and said, you're going to graduate, we're going to put some support mechanisms in place to help you. That moment I just, looked at my wing, my section, section 2, they just came over, surrounded me, hugged me. A lot of my other mates from the other sections from my wing, same thing as well. It's just, and that's when you realise that you're part of a family.
Constable Vincent Kahui is trying to reach Bessie before she becomes a roadblock.
And man, has he been making up for it ever since. Stints on motorway patrol,
chasing cows,
catching baddies on low-speed chases next to the motorway.
I felt like a sheepdog.
Kitting out Māori wardens with new wet weather gear.
We've worked with Vinnie quite closely with the Māori wardens, and we did the hikoi with him last year. So, if anything, we're just very grateful to have Vinnie's help and the police as well.
Bit of showboating at the National Manu competition.
It was big. I'm not sure he quite tucked, though.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether he's going to have a job the following day, but no. Seriously, that stuff is awesome.
This is Vinnie's boss.
He keeps things simple, which doesn't mean that he's simple. He's got a complex character, but when I keep things simple, keep to the basics and you can't go too wrong. And he does that core stuff in terms of the tuā papa or the foundational stuff really, really well.
He says all of Vinnie's life experience makes for an officer who knows how to connect with stressed or distressed Kiwis.
We're dealing with people who are calling us at potentially the worst time of their lives. So he just has the ability to slow it down and hear what they have to say, respect what they have to say. People can unload. That's where the kina magic comes in. This is how Vin does it. Do you like kinas? Yeah, where do you dive? And you know, as well as I know, and Te Ao Māori, kaimana is everything. Bringing those sort of little things to help people find commonalities, man, that's awesome.
That's his magic question.
That's his magic.
Today, he's on a mission for a bargain.
What do you got there, mate?
Oh, these are those $10 polarised glasses that I seem to get every 2 to 3 weeks from the markets. Yeah, $10. They look pretty flash. They look good, bro. Look all good. See, does it look good? Suits me. Thank you. You always get honesty at the markets. Always get a lot of honesty.
Looking awesome.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Kia ora, Bumper's one of our Māori wardens. The Waitemata lot.
Waitemata. Safest place in the world.
Oh, it is. And yeah, we're always finding. Always find our Māori wardens everywhere. There's always someone. You're having a ball up today, aren't you?
No? Some fruit now today, bro.
Oh.
Yeah, a bit of a light breakfast.
How much are these, bro?
Still, he's been surprised by the parts of the job that he loves.
The death jobs we go to. When I was younger, I was scared to go to tangi, funerals. I'd run 1,000,000 miles, no one would see me for days. Coming into this role, you have to face those fears. It's not natural to see dead bodies on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. It's a privilege. And someone's going through the worst time of their lives, a family going through absolute worst time of their life, things in chaos, and you go there and do a professional job, you actually sleep better at night.
Morning.
Now he's on a never-ending mission, a one-man walking recruitment machine.
Have you filled your new cops application yet?
Not yet.
Oh, when you do, just bring the whanau along as well. Trying to recruit her, bro. Did he's got a recruitment thing up at the shops for if anyone wants to come over and join. So, yeah.
This is a dream job he plans to do for a very long time.
I want to do at least 25 years. That means staying fitter. Yeah, I can do it. You don't actually feel like you age. I definitely don't. I've started studying for my sergeant's exams, so I want to get into those leadership positions. So, yeah, just want to climb. And, yeah, I'd say till I die, I'd say. It's one of those things that you got it, you don't want to let it go. No one ever seems to be angry, when they couldn't say, bro. No. When you guys have arguments, you just crack open one of these? Yeah, no, it's, yeah, definitely, yeah, one of the de-escalation tools in the world. Kinners.
Mauri ora.
Mauri ora, Mauri ora.
No, he tuahangata ia. Tau Kevin, se whai ake nei te wā o ngā hararei a ngā kura, the school holiday program bringing joy to whānau through play and a Māori experience. No mai anō, ka pau te hau a ngā mātua pia I te wā e hararei ana. Ngā kura, yes, school holidays can be challenging for parents, especially if you want a reo Māori experience for your tamariki. E haere atu a Courtney Tairi ki Kori Collab. Our Courtney went to see how they're changing the game.
In the middle of the city, a movement is happening. A Māori school holiday program that's unlike any other. One that puts te reo, whānau and ancient Māori games at the centre. Kori Collab.
Ko te kaupapa, kua whakarite ai mātou ko he kaupapa tākoro, he wānanga tākoro me ki. Ko te kaupapa he whakarite ai ngā tākoro o nehe, kia pēhea e whakahihiko I era I roto I ngā hāpori a Māori nei. I te mea ko ngā kaupapa e kite ana, he reo Pākehā te nuinga. No reira ko te whainga o tēnei kaupapa kia utonu ki te reo Māori, kia tukuna he tuapapa, kia whakamaumahara ngā Māori o te taone pia ki ngā akoranga o ngā tupuna me ngā māturanga ngā kōrero tuku iho o roto.
So hea ngā rauemi, ko te raupō tēnei, tēnei te raupō. Yeah, kei konei hoki I te harakeke.
This kaupapa began with the whakaaro to give our tamariki a space where they can still be Māori during the school holidays.
Kei te hoki ki te kāinga e muri I ngā school holidays, and kore kai ngā reo. I'm all about disrupting systems that don't work for Māori, and so, you know, a system that didn't work for Māori was not having any spaces and places within the school holiday periods for our babies to be able to kōrero Māori. So yeah, it's really important that there are those spaces.
Ka te raha hua koutou? Ko te mea tuatahi, I te rapu mātou he wahi kia tono atu o mātou tamariki, kia Māori nei tonu tō rātou ao. He tamariki pirere o te kohanga reo, kei te aho matua rātou e ako ana. Ka mutu te kura, ko te nuinga o ngā kaupapa he tauiwi, he Pākehā anoa te reo. Ahakoa e rata ana mātou ki era tūāhuatanga hoki, ko te mea e hihi ana mātou kia whakamohio atu ki ngā mokopuna ngā tamariki, he taonga te reo, he kaunga o roto I te reo, ka mutu he nuinga akoranga o roto.
No hea te ingo o manu rewa, Kōrero mai, kōrero mai.
Tākaro isn't just fun, it reconnects our tamariki to their whakapapa and lifts the wairua of the whanau.
Ki take nei whakaaro, ko tākaro te rongoā, mō taku whanau, ko tākaro te tuā papo taku whanau. Yeah, it is the medicine, it is the backbone.
At Kori Collab, it's not just about tamariki though. It's about kaumātua and mokopuna learning together.
O he rawe, e kite ana I ngā hua o roto te mene, te katakata o ngā kaumātua, ngā kuia, ngā pakeke. Ko āhua ware tia kia pēhea te tākoro o te noho hari nei. Te nuinga o ngā kaupapa o te pakeke he taumaha. Nā reira, ko tēnei he ara pia hei whakaakiaki kia piritahi te tamaiti ki ona mātua, ki ona karani mā, ona karani pā, kraua kuia. I te mea, kei a rātou etahi o era o ngā kōrero, engari karewhai wāhi ki te tuku e rā kōrero.
It's really important to see our babies learn from their mātua, from their nannies, from their koros, because at the end of the day, it's taonga tuku iho. It's the kōrero of old being passed on to the new generations, and then to see our babies actually, you know, be able to get up and be the kaiako.
While tākaro of old is at the centre, this kaupapa honours both the old world and the new, connecting pūrākau, reo and tikanga to a generation raised with tech and TikTok.
I whakaaro ake, ina te miharo, ina te atāhua o tā tētahi whānau. Whakaaro nui ana ki ngā tamariki, kia tuku he taonga, e hariti mea ko te hangarau, e hariti mea ko ngā taonga noiho o, e mea o te wānei, mahi maina a hātu rāni. Engari, ko a tātou taonga e whakaohoho mai ana, e kite hoki ana a tātou tamariki I te pai o era taonga.
Ko toku tino tākaro, toku tino kaupapa ko te mahi whai.
I te hari me te koa, te katakata o ngā pakeke me ngā tamariki mokopuna hoki, kite ana. Ko te aha, he tākoro te mahi. Nā reira, ki rōwhare nei, ki te kāinga, ko te hihia, āwaho āroto, he tākoro kei ngā ringa o ngā tangata ka tai mai ki e nei kaupapa. Mea nā te kōrero he kai ki aku ringa, ko te whakaaro pēr he tākoro hoki ki aku ringa. Te rātu ringa hoki, ki roto, ko ete, ko nui, hoki, urihe.
Through Kori Collab, tamariki are growing in confidence as speakers of te reo Māori and as leaders of their culture.
I think the benefits for this kaupapa here, this wānanga, is all the mātauranga Māori that they can obviously learn, but also take back to their own whānau and marae. Ko tētahi, e tae ana mā tātou rauemi I te kāinga. E tae ana te tākoro ki e nei porotaka, e tae ana te tākoro kia tāne māhuta, ka rewa te ngākau, tuatahi ake. Ka rongo te wairua I te hiringa o e nei āhuatanga katoa, ka tino ngahau o aroto, ka koa āwaho.
A kawea tātou te rehia, e te harikoa, e te mataraha, like just be carried by the spirit of play, by joy, by the happiness.
Mea ana ngā kai whakahaere. Kori Collab, ka whakawhānui ake a rātou mahi ki etahi atu. Moka o te whenua, yes, Kori Collab is expanding and looking for global Indigenous partners. Miharo. That is us for this week. Ngā mihi nui I tā koutou mātakitaki mai, hei kōnā. Ko te reo, te take.